And I'll go straight to the point. I will firstly introduce members of the High Table. And Honorable Bibi Dabo will be the chair of the session. So I would like to say welcome. And I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Omar Jallo, commonly known as OJ Jallo. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of James Gomez, Honorable James Gomez, and Marlon Sonko, Marlon Saho, and I apologize. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Keba Jallo, Momodu Jallo, the Council of Banjul, and I also like to acknowledge Mustafa Jaban, our Jata in diaspora. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Bolon Sonko, Keba Jallo, Abulai Ba, Jamso, Duta Kamaso, our Iron Lady, but most importantly, and Jenaba and everyone else. Yes, most importantly, I want to acknowledge the presence of the media houses and of course the P.P.P family and most especially the P.P.P militants, and to say welcome all of you to our press conference. Now I'll hand over the mic to our Honorable to at least do the press briefing proper.
Well, the moderator has extended our courtesies. The moderator, Kabanjari, has extended our courtesies collectively to all the audience here, both members of the press and others who are present. I am honored by my colleagues here with their suggestion that I step forward and chair the session here. And without much ado, I will be passing the floor to Alaji Omar Jallo to say a few preliminary remarks in order to get you the essence of the message we want to put across to you, and also hopefully to set the tone for fruitful and useful exchanges that we intend to have with you, the members of the press. Now, I will only ask for indulgence for me to say a word or two about the passing of Omar Jallo. It should not really be very difficult for me to do. He has many dimensions to his personality. He is a father, maybe a grandfather also. He is a member of the Serekunda community, perhaps even an elder in the Serekunda community. He has held many public offices. He has been minister many times. These are all very important, but that's not what we are going to focus on today. I want to focus on Omar Jallo and the people. In that context, he is better known in our collective imagination as the most visible face and the most audible voice of efforts to revive the P.P.P and help our party back to its feet, following the lifting of the bans that had been placed by the military dictatorship back in 1997. In his capacity as the coordinator and in fact the de facto leader of the party, given the point that the Secretary General leader of the party has been absent from the country for most of the time. In that capacity, therefore, as coordinator, working under the moral authority of the party national president, Elijah Sise, he has spared no efforts in trying to keep alive the idea of reviving the P.P.P. back to its feet. In that regard, he has proved a resourceful person, a resourceful worker, a dogged fighter who has showed tremendous amount of resilience in the face of the most difficult adversity, wreaked in the country as a whole, but also in our party in particular by the terrible dictatorship that lasted 22 years in this country. But OJ is not just OJ in the P.P.P. is not just the coordinator that he has been since 1997. He didn't just spring from nowhere. OJ and the P.P.P. go much further backwards. Having joined the party as a young man, he helped win crucial Serekunda East seat for the P.P.P. back in 1977. After an unsuccessful first attempt in 1972. Since 1997, he has held that seat for the P.P.P. through such a series of contested elections until the party was banned in 1994. He's not only been a member of parliament, won that seat for us. He has gone on to ensure that what used to be a shaky hold of the party on this very urban area is turned it into a bastion of support for the people. OJ has gone beyond constituency politics. He's not only a constituency politician. At the level of national party matters, he had a rise, in fact a meteoric rise. Upon being elected member of parliament, he became ex officio member of the National Executive Committee of the party, the highest level, the highest organ of the party below the Congress. He also became, by that fact, a member of the Central Committee of the party, which is the operative organ of the National Executive Committee. It's not stopped at that. He held several other responsible positions. He was naturally a member of the parliamentary party of the party, called the Parliamentary Committee of the party. From 1997 to 1979 Congress in particular, he assumed a leading role in the party youth movement, a role which he didn't relinquish until 1992, in the role of a Secretary General of the youth movement. So you are looking here at somebody who is not only a member of the P.P.P., but a militant of the P.P.P. and a servant of the P.P.P., who has served the P.P.P. He has always been, as I said, a resourceful person, which a party militant needs to be. He's a dogged fighter. OJ reminds me, in fact, of the legendary boxer. What's his name again? Joe Fraser, Smoking Joe. You knock him down, he will come up. He's resilient, he's dogged. You take his head and put him under the waters, and you think he will drown, like a non-submersible bulb, he comes up again. That is OJ. Party member, party servant, party worker, and in this period, long period of adversity, extended period of adversity, he proved in his role as coordinator a very good inspiring leader. He's linked the party to the nationwide crusade against dictatorship. Quite often you will hear about the P.P.P's voice in all efforts, all attempted coalition bids. And that also has been likely because he's been the coordinator of the P.P.P at the time. I'm therefore pleased and honored to leave the floor to OJ to give his preliminary remarks. Following the floor will be open to members of our guest media, members of the media, who should feel free to ask questions for clarification. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I need not introduce again the people at the high table because already that has been done by the moderator, Papa Njai. Thank you very much, Papa Njai. I just want to read the press release that was approved by the P.P.P leadership for us to come to this press conference today. I want to also thank the chair for the kind words he has given to me, but he has been part and parcel of the team that made P.P.P what it is today. He has served as ambassador, as Minister of Information and Tourism, as Vice President and Minister of Education and the longest serving Vice President in P.P.P, and Minister of Finance up to 1994. And as young people, we are the people who served as the foot soldiers of the P.P.P many years before coming into government. So I think all the attributes he has given to me are the same attributes that I will give to him. Unfortunately, we have been together for a long time. He was the commercial director in the Commercial and Development Bank, and I was the loan officer. I was working directly under him. So our relationship dates back many years. I would like to thank him for the kind words and for him to come back and all of us together to once more bring back our great party, the party that made Gambia what it is today, the party that brought self-government to the Gambia, the party that brought independence to the Gambia, and the party that brings republicanism to the Gambia against all odds and skepticism, because people thought Gambia cannot make it alone as a sovereign independent state, thanks to the P.P.P and the people. Now also I say good afternoon to all of you. The People's Progressive Party, as the People's Party, welcomes the press to this press conference, which marks another opportunity to further the existing good relations the party had always had and enjoyed with the press corps, particularly during the very difficult years of the dictatorship. I also take this opportunity to welcome the other members of our party with me, who are sitting with me on the podium and in this office of the P.P.P today. Today you will have the opportunity to hear another voice other than mine from a person who is also an important pillar of our party. I'm sure I do not have to again introduce him, because I've already told you that most people in this country knows Bakari Dawo, commonly known as BB. He was once, as I said, Vice President and served in many capacities, both in government and in other national institutions, to further the progress and development of our great country. I also welcome my brother and friend, Honorable James Fumus Gomez, who was one of our young militants in Banjul for the P.P.P. And because of the principles and policies and beliefs of the P.P.P. and because of his competence and his commitment to the development of this country, the P.P.P. has a policy whereby our policies and objective transcends tribe, religion, ethnicity, of area of origin. That's why we chose James Fumus Gomez at a very young age to be the mayor of Banjul. You can count with your fingers how many Manjago compounds are in Banjul. For the P.P.P., that's not important. He's a Catholic. For the P.P.P., that's not important. What is important? Character, self-esteem, devotion, commitment, and of course, dedication to country and the development of the people. That is why I'm happy here to see Alhaji Malam Sah, Member of Parliament for Wuli, Parliamentary Secretary, up to the day the coup d'etat happened, has been also a very active member of the youth wing with my late friend and brother, Buwabale, who was my secretary then. And of course, Keba Jallo, the first mayor of the KMC. Young, dynamic, dedicated, and committed to the development and the interest of the people that voted for him. Moduba stood up against the dictatorship and was elected to the BCC after with all the odds. He's young, he's dynamic, and of course, that's why P.P.P. is very happy today that we are encouraged and we have a very strong belief that the future is bright for P.P.P. because we have seen our sons, our nephews, our nieces, our daughters coming to join the P.P.P. and carry the crusade. My sister here, Honorable Buta Kamasu, was a member of Parliament from Wuli, who stood firm in Parliament, and because of her divergent views with that of the dictatorship, they threw her in prison. She suffered, but she stood up for the truth, and now she is here with us, and I joined the P.P.P. and ready to work with us to bring back the glory of the P.P.P. Papa Jai, of course, my friend here can attest to it. His father, Alhaji Musa Jai, the businessman, has been one of the pillars and founders of the P.P.P. from Julangel in the URR. And then, because of his contribution to the party, he was made a member of the Central Committee of the party, the father of Papa Jai. So if Papa Jai comes today and joins the P.P.P., Papa Jai has come back to the hope of his father. Welcome, Papa Jai. As I always say, if my house gets burnt, I'll take my family to the neighbors. But when I build my house again, please, let the family come back home. People was banned, we are suppressed, we were oppressed, we were subjected to a lot of degrading and inhuman treatment. And then there was a continuous propaganda to destroy and undermine the integrity and the achievements and successes of the P.P.P. for 22 years. But I'm telling you, the truth shall always prevail. Now the truth has prevailed. We are back. Please come back to your place. The objective of the press conference is to inform you about our first National Congress since the party was banned in 1994. Based on the decisions of the National Executive Committee, under the chairmanship of the interim national president, Alhaji Yaya Sisi, this historic event is taking place as our Congress of the party from Friday 28th of December to Sunday 30th of December 2018 at the YMCA Hostel, MDI Road, Carnival. It will take place under the chairmanship of Honorable Yaya Sisi, and this is going to be an elective congress whereby we will elect members of the executive and members of the different organs of the party. Each of the 53 constituencies will be represented by 10 delegates to be chosen from the men, women, and the youth. In addition, members of the Central Committee and the Executive Committee and party militants and sympathizers will be invited to attend. The theme of this conference is reviving the P.P.P. to serve the Gambia better. The agenda also will include reports of the party leadership and the future orientation of the party. We have with us here Mustafa Jaba from our diaspora membership, who is a very strong advocate and militant of the P.P.P. Mustafa Jaba, stand up. Fortunately, he's a child of the P.P.P. His father, Alhaji Lamin Kiti Jaba, was longest serving Minister of External Affairs of the Gambia under the P.P.P. regime, and the longest serving Minister of the Interior under the P.P.P. regime. And I was fortunate that when I won the elections in '77, Sadauda appointed me as the deputy to his father as Parliamentary Secretary, External Affairs. We had a very good working relationship, and I worked under him for 4 years before I was made a minister in 1981. Welcome, Muslim. You are back home, and we welcome you very much. I just don't want to introduce us in the high table. Bolong Sonko is my brother, my friend. When I was posted to his village in where was I? No, the other village, where? And Alpreda. I used to go every weekend to take lunch at his father's house. He was the chief. And the father, seeing me as a young person at that time, 1970-71, takes me into his car when I'm going to visit my other second at Bafuloto, and brings me back after the weekend. Unfortunately, Bolong came and worked under me in water resources. I have never ever seen a person more committed, competent, and willing more than Bolong Sonko. That's why I'm happy to welcome him. Jainabas Ba is my daughter. The father worked with me. Suteba from Fulakunda in Foni, in the cooperatives for many years, and now the mother is one of our strongest CI companies in Birkam. Yamso Sane Jallo, I told her all the Sanes and bars will be Jallo today. It's an order of our iron woman from Sukuta, who has been with us throughout since 2001. When we are going on this tour, when other people we are not sure whether you are a German, will terrorize us, she was always with us, and she is the one who has organized a lot of activities for us in Combo North. Thank you, Yamso. Laiba is our scribe, the secretary who writes, produce minutes and everything, and we welcome him and all of you, and I welcome the press. I still believe what I said before. I believe that there can be no genuine democracy in any country without the independent press. That is why I believe what one of the American presidents once said, that he would prefer to have America without a president than America without a free press. That undermines the importance of the press. All the programs of any organization, of any government, of any community, of any organization can only be distributed and make people to understand and know about it through the press. So you have an important role to play. So welcome to the press conference. Welcome all the party militants and leaders who are here today. We welcome you back home, and please, when you go back, carry the client call that the elephant has awoken. P.P.P. has awoken. Thank you.
Thank you for this very helpful opening address. As I said, it's my hope that he has brought into focus the main message that this gathering is called to get over. And I also hope that the tone he set will be the one that we will keep to throughout our exchanges. You are welcome, members of the press. I'm going to immediately ask you to step forward and ask questions, but just remind you of a few ground rules. You will have to request for the floor by raising your hand. And I'll ask our guy to identify. We will try as best as possible to take you on the basis of first come, first served. We are not here in Germany. Also, rule number 2 is that press for time. We will try to accommodate as many questions as possible from you, but you also have to help by avoiding unnecessary repetition and also asking questions as succinctly as possible. Rule number 3, you put the question to the podium here, and it's then for all of us and anyone on the podium who wants to take on that answer. There are 3 simple rules. If you agree on that as our rules of engagement, I will open the floor and say, please step forward and ask for the floor.
Okay. Introduce yourself.
Okay. Good evening. Okay. Good afternoon, all of you here. My question goes to. I am Modu Ture. I work for Brikama Community Radio Station as senior journalist. My question goes to Bakari Bunja Dabo. So I can fully remember I was very young when you used to come to our village here, Karantaba. Welcome back. Mr. Dabo used to be a very influential person in this country. But how will you be able to bring people back for the fact that most of the people who were militants in P.P.P. are now either UDP, APRC, or other parties? So how will you be able to bring that old days when Bakari used to be everybody's Bakari?
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, we will not underestimate the difficulty of the task ahead of us. But for now, we are more concerned and more focused on our strong conviction that the party should be raised to its feet back. Why? Because we believe the P.P.P. has been a force of good in this country. Perhaps even more importantly, we believe the P.P.P. has the potential to be a force for good for many, many more years to come. Therefore, that conviction, that strong conviction, is what will propel us to tie our belts even tighter, revive the spirit of Tacito that used to be the P.P.P.'s guiding philosophy. To work very hard according to the party's own laid down principles and practices to get the message back to the people in the belief that the P.P.P. is not only lost in the memory of the Gambian people, but not also lost in the hearts of the Gambian people. Yes, a lot of water has gone under the bridge, and we have no problem with that. Whether UDP or APRC or any other party who had benefited from the difficulties of the P.P.P. to take some people who used to be P.P.P. and let them continue, that is democracy. But we believe that we'll put the message, when we put out the message to the people, we believe that most Gambian people are reasonable, and then they can make an informed choice, whether to come back to the P.P.P. or not to come back. And we expect that, in fact, a reasonable number will come back to the P.P.P. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable P.P.P. Dabo. The message is very clear. Tacito, bringing back the color of the P.P.P. So next, please. What's the name? Come forward. Yeah.
I can use my voice.
Okay, but introduce yourself, please.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Mama Khan from the Fatu Network. My question is
Fatu Network.
Yeah, the Fatu Network. My question is to Omar Amadou Gallo. You made mention P.P.P. has been in the Gambia before it was banned in 1994. It has strongholds, and you made mention that it brought independence and made Gambia a republic. So this team, P.P.P. holding this Congress, the first ever Congress of the P.P.P. The team you made mention is reviving the P.P.P. to serve Gambia better. So my question is, after the Congress, what next is going to be?
Thank you very much. I think that's a very, very good question and important. As the chairperson has just said, the P.P.P. has always been relevant to Gambia's development. And the objectives and beliefs of the P.P.P. are still the same: to make Gambia a better country for all Gambians. That is why we in the P.P.P. has a history which a lot of young people in this country are not aware of. That is why one of the main important things that we are going to embark upon is sensitization and education, particularly the young people, of what P.P.P. stood for what P.P.P. did in this country to bring Gambia to be shoulder high among all African countries. Just to name a few, when the British and the French decided that Gambia cannot exist as a sovereign state and it has to be the 7th region of Senegal, some of the parties that existed then agreed. P.P.P. under Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara refused, and then he went to Nigeria, to Azikwe. The first party manifesto was prepared in Nigeria. Gambia independence now. He came. We lost our president, national president of the party, because he was one of those who believed that we cannot make it. But when we had independence, at the Lancaster House summit, most, if not all, the opposition parties that were absent when Sir Dawda was signing for independence 18 February 1965. Without any resources, without any oil, without any diamond, without any gold, only agriculture. Sir Dawda brought Tesito as the chairperson said. And he declared and said, let all Gambians tie their waist and we can turn our groundnuts into gold. And that happened. It came to a time when Gambia, during under Sir Dawda, my last year as Minister of Agriculture in 1993, we bought 260,000 tons of ground. Because at that time, our government has made it possible for the farming community through the cooperatives and other institutions to be self-sufficient, radiant, and make agriculture profitable. That strange farmers leave Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, and Mali and come to our villages and stay with our farmers and are being fed by our farmers to work our farmers to their lives. Cotton became, apart from Mali, we became the second most important cotton producer in West Africa. And we had the best general in Basman. Sir Dawda made Gambia, because of the tax system that we introduced, the supermarket of the West Coast, Senegal, Mali, Guinea-Bissau, even Sierra Leone comes here to buy things and pack it to their countries. Gambia, and then the most important, Gambia became the safe haven of all refugees from the terrible dictatorships in West Africa. It was only in Gambia where we have free, fair, transparent elections every 5 years. It was only in Gambia where we respected the rule of law, democracy, and human rights. That's why in 1975, at that historic summit in Kampala, Sir Dawda proposed that because of Africa's historic experience of dehumanization, slavery, and of course colonialism, Africa should set up a commission for people and human rights. And of course, throughout Africa, Gambia was the only country qualified to host the headquarters of the Human Rights Commission. That's what we are going to come in. And of course, again, corruption and mismanagement cannot be eradicated in any society, but it was very minimal in P.P.P. That's why when the coup took place, Jammeh was saying, rampant corruption and flamboyant lifestyles. Sir Dawda, all of us were taken to a commission, the Bamford Commission. And Degree 11, which established the Bamford Commission, said the commission will sit in public and the report will be made public. And that was the commission that should prove Yahya Jammeh if he was correct or if he was wrong. Out of 4 commissions set up by Yahya Jammeh, only the Bamford Commission up to today, no Gambian have seen the report or had the report. that it was all lies. We were one of the most clean governments in Africa. That's what we want to bring back to the Gambian people and instill it, particularly in the young people, that you should not wait to be fed by your party, to be fed by your leaders. The moment you allow your leaders to be course on you, then you are creating a dictatorship. But when the leaders are afraid and listen to the people, you are creating a genuine democratic dispensation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oye. Thanks. I hope this answers your question. You asked a very important question and it gave an opportunity to emphasize some very important issues. And I hope the point has gone home. I like to underscore maybe the last point you said, and one or two other points, with your permission. One is the come directly to your question, what after the Congress? The Congress ends on the 30th of December, the 31st of December. No, we are not going to sleep. The Congress is the day the work starts. Work starts on the 31st of December. We are not even going to wait for 1st of January. There is a whole rebuilding to be done. A whole rebuilding from the lowest level of the party at the branch level all the way. We're going to do that. We're going to improve on our communication with the people, including different segments and groups as well as the group. We're going to work very hard to build the party back to its feet. Also perhaps within the shortest possible time. You provoked Oye to talk to you about the sheer ferocity and the sheer maliciousness of that ferocity. It was wreaked on the P.P.P. and in the Gambia, but on the P.P.P. in particular, which unfortunately, all too often, we have the feeling has not been highlighted sufficiently by the media. He cited the case of the much vaunted inquiry into the allegations of corruption by the P.P.P. government. Now, the government consists of the political leadership, but also the civil servants. Usually, people don't include these two. They don't mix them. They are slightly different because they have two spheres of operations. And the Bank 4 Commission was set up specifically to look into the activities in office of the political leadership. And it is typical of the iniquity of the sheer dishonesty and the callousness of the military dictatorship. That the basic fundamental principle of natural justice, that if you claim to establish adverse findings against you or against me, I should be entitled to see that report. It has never been done. And not a voice in the media has ever mentioned that. In fact, that goes for the wider society. Barring few courageous voices, perhaps the best example being the late Sam Jones, most people kept quiet. This is really not what we had expected of a responsible citizenry. A citizen is somebody who is concerned about his neighbor, about his others, even if they happen to be his enemies at the personal level. But that has happened on the P.P.P. and nothing has been done. Take the party alone, not even the ministers, the party itself, which has a legal personality of its own. It was a legally registered party. We operated in this country for over 30-something years. We respected the law. We were the party in government. We had maybe power in that sense, but we never got tempted to abuse that power. We paid our dues to BCC and to wherever we have properties. We paid our land fees to the land office. Every vehicle, even a microphone we imported, we paid duly to the income tax, the ports authority and the customs. Such was our record of being law-abiding. even though the temptation was there for us to throw our weight around. We never did it. When the military came, they overthrew the government, which is in itself a heinous crime. But as if that is not enough, they took on the party, the PPP. It's such ferocious hostilities. They jumped on our properties, seized all of them without the most elementary process, without the most, not even commission of inquiry. All our properties were seized. The rolling stock, like the vehicles, but also the landed properties. Even our archives, they are like vandals. They moved into our archives and stole all of them. For a citizen to be subject to that kind of thing by people acting in the name of the state is the most callous thing that has happened. And we feel sad. We are not children to cry, but we feel that people's voices should speak out, that this is unjust. And much to my own embarrassment anyway, is that even when the dictatorship ended 2 years ago, the successor government, in the name of the principle of continuity, seems to be still holding on to our properties. Now, this cannot be right. That cannot be right. This is our property. We did nothing. On the contrary, we did out everything we owe the state. If you don't give us a certificate of commendation, don't seize our property. If the former government, notorious for its criminality, did so, the successor government should immediately assume office. In the name of continuity, have looked into it and returned our properties to us. But we believe, we here at the P.P.P. believe in the justice system of this country. And we will recover everything that we own. And every right every wrong that has been done to us, we will go to court and get them right. So I wanted to thank OJ for touching on that. I said, you provoked him. Next question.
I'm Abdullah John. I write for, I'm a celebrity reporter and I write for Freedom and Terror News. Well, as you know, the country is emerging from 2 decade-long dictatorship. I say Gambia is emerging from 2 decades of dictatorship. And now Gambians are enjoying a new democratic dispensation. But in the same time, we have seen, politicians and ordinary citizens trading into, tribalism and hate. I think Papa Jai was targeted, and recently also Apply said former Banjul Central MB attacked the Banjul tribe. So in reviving P.P.P., how are you going to deal
Banjul Central former MP.
from foreign, yes? In reviving the P.P.P., how are you going to deal with this disturbing reality?
Okay. I think really I have already said the P.P.P. as a policy, as a principle, rejects tribalism, religious discrimination, ethnicity, or area of origin. That is why history teaches us that Sadauda Kebara Jawara was born in Barajali, bred and brought up in Banjul Afdai, made a member of parliament by Birkam. A.B. Njai, Wolof, from Banjul, taken to Kombo North to contest. There is no Wolof village in the whole of Kombo North. He won, became foreign minister, minister of local government, and vice president. Ejo Jane from 15 Hagan Street, taken to Kiem West, his own constituency, contested and won. A Sarahule from Banjul. L.B. Mboj from Nyamina to Eliasa constituency in Badibu, and he won. Asan Musa Kamara from Basse Santosu to Kantora, and he won. MC Cham from Basse to Tumana, and he won. NC Jallo from Basse to Jimara and he won. P.P.P doesn't differentiate where you come from, what religion you belong to, or what tribe you belong to. What we are interested in, that you are a citizen of this country, you have the competence, the character, and you have built that reputation for Gambians to rely on you for good leadership. That's what we need. And that's what we are now going to work on, as the chairperson says. After the Congress, we are going throughout the country to talk to the young people, to make them be aware that Gambia is too small. Bakari's wife is not Maniga. My wife is not Fula. That's what we met in this country. Sir Dauda's wives. First wife was an Akko. The second wife a Fula. The third wife a Wolof. That's the guarantee for national stability and peaceful coexistence among ourselves. And that's what we are going to continue to do, and then we are going to inculcate this in the young people of the P.P.P. for them to be the troop soldiers of the country to spread the message. Thank you.
You have done very well, OJ, to emphasize, in response to your question, that in this regard, I think the Gambian people can have faith, confidence in the P.P.P. because we have a legacy and a track record to show it. As he said, there are so many ways this point can be illustrated. P.P.P. stands and will ever stand for inclusiveness. Inclusive Gambia, in which there is a strong sense of oneness, irrespective of age, height, ethnicity, religion. Some of you may know, some of you might not have known. Very, very, very original promoters of the idea of the P.P.P. even before Sir Dawda Kairala came on board, within the limit of their vision, their understanding, they called this party and even registered it as the Protected People's Party. That was not for nothing, and it was not even malicious in intention. It was reflecting a certain reality. That the party was started by people who by origin were associated with Protectorate. It was also founded to promote and campaign for the extension of the franchise to the Protectorate, which had not been the case before. So when eventually the party was set up, it was felt that natural things to call it the Protected People's Party. When after Sir Dawda came on board, he was approached and accepted to lead the party. One of the first issues he raised of symbolic significance is that the name has to change. Because even with the best of intentions on the part of the earlier members, the adjective protective in the name can suggest to some people that other parts of the country are being excluded as a matter of policy.
Correct.
That was how the name changed from the Protected People's Party to Progressive People's Party. The term progressive being one which has no connotation of exclusiveness about it. That reflected the very intention of the people from the word go. And it wasn't just a mere rhetoric. It practiced it by its governance practices when it took over power in 1962. From there onwards, it was a cardinal policy of the P.P.P. to promote a sense of oneness. There's only one Gambia. You hardly had in official discourse, reference to any segment, whether Yola or Shortman or Fula. That's totally irrelevant. Why? Because actually it is the mark of insecure people who have no confidence in themselves. Or try to play on this little irrelevant thing. It never felt so good, and our track record can speak for itself. I can assure you that we are duty bound. We are trustees of that legacy, and we are duty bound as a party to follow them. So there is no danger, no risk whatsoever of the P.P.P. ever making the mistake of going down the line of using this thing. Thank you very much.
Okay, can I take from the back and then I'll come back in front? Yes.
Good afternoon to you all. Mr. Jallo.
Yes.
If I may ask you, what do you make of, yes, I'm a reporter with the Mamos TV. I'm a correspondent to Mamos TV and also an anchor to DK radio station.
Your name?
Usman Amaron. Yes, if I may ask you, what do you make of reports that has it that you are never endorsed as the interim leader for P.P.P. party? And we also heard that there are reports that the former vice president under the Sadauda Kairaba Jawara regime, who is no other person than Bibi Dabo, is also eyeing the party. Is also eyeing the P.P.P. party. He is eyeing the party, I mean. He is eyeing the P.P.P. party. The leadership, yeah, leadership. What is your take on this? How so are these two things?
Thank you very much.
Always the controversial figure you are. One thing, I think, I don't know whether you came late, because when the chairman was introducing, he discussed about my position in the party as leader of the party during the difficult days of the P.P.P. And of course, you must have heard, or you must know, that the party was banned. That is why we lost our color of blue. But we re-registered the party in 2001. And when we registered the party in 2001, we wrote to Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, who was then in the UK. And he replied, accepted, but proposing that in his absence, I should step in his shoes. And that's what is happening up to today, because the leadership of the party can only be chosen by the Congress. So all of us who are there since 2001 are on interim basis. And that's why we are holding an elective office now to go and choose the new leadership of the party. You have a second question? What was it? Well, Bibi Dabo, yes, okay, I'm happy that people are talking, because we now have a democracy and everybody has a right to opinion. But as I said, 53 constituencies, each constituency is bringing 10 delegates, made up of men, women and youth. Anybody who is interested in the leadership of the party can show interest. Nobody can impose yourself on the party. This is a democratic party, a party that believes in participatory democracy and respect for individualism. Each and every one of us is sovereign within the party, and you have your opinion. Nobody dictates you. The person you want to lead will lead. That's how Sadauda came. That's how all of us came into being, as members of parliament, as ministers. So that is the party again. Anybody can say what he wants, but I know that Bakari has come in as one of the members of the party who has participated in the development and evolution of the P.P.P. That is why we are back here to make sure we revive our great party.
Thank you. And in fact, the term eyeing which you used, I don't know what is inside it. But anyway, I think Mr. Jallo has offered you an answer which you perhaps will find useful. If eyeing means holding a position of responsibility, he has told you that the P.P.P. not only has a constitution, but it has a practice. You see this question of holding party congresses. It may be a new experience for most parties now, but for the PPP, it's been going on. From the earliest congress I personally was associated was held in Malfa School in 1962 or so. And since then, we've been having a series of congresses. And this is because it's a requirement of our constitution, but also it's part of the practice of building our party and maintaining internal democracy. So within that system, it is the people who elect. So it's not the I that should bother you. It's not the I that should bother you. It should be really what the people would want. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the High Table and everybody present here. My name is Panderi and I work for Star FM Radio. I have three questions for Honorable O.J. Jallo. Three questions for you, sir. The first one that I'll be asking is about the Congress, because previously we have heard of an announcement that states that the P.P.P. Congress will be held in Brikama. Why the change of venue? Number two, are you interested as OJ to be the flag bearer of the party? And again, I would really love to stretch you, OJ, here. PPP have been here for the best part of 29 years, and people still pinpoint PPP as a party that have really underdeveloped Gambia infrastructurally. What answers would you give to such questions and allegations?
Always the controversial party. Well, I'm so open, Pandiri. You have been listening to my statement for the last 8-10 years. That time when I was having interviews with Pandiri of USA and Fatu Radio and Gainako and all these things. I've told them, except when I die and God imposes that I have to contest elections, then I'll contest. But as long as I'm alive, no way. I have no interest in any office, elected office in the coming Congress. I think I can survive as an advisor if they need me. Because I think I've played my part. And there are young people when I was elected 31 years ago, when I was 31. And made a minister when I was 24. And Sadauda became prime minister when he was 41. We were all young. For me, my belief is that we have a generation of young people, competent, enlightened, exposed, who can carry on the mantle. Not possible. That one is out. Secondly, the PPP, fortunately, in all big parties, in families, you have differences. There was a small difference between us, that some people announced that the party will hold its congress in Brikama. But now, from the statement I've read, we have seen that the party has decided that it will be held at the YMCA, in the KMC, and we will make sure Sir Dawda Kerba Jawara, the first premier, the fourth prime minister, and the first president of the Republic of the Gambia will attend, and all of us, the former leadership of the party, will grace the occasion so that people will know that PPP has come together as one family and there is no difference anymore. Most of us quarrel with our wives. Some even fight. Does that break the marriage? No. Particularly when we talk about politics. We have seen what is happening in Senegal. We have seen what is happening in France. We have seen what is happening in England. That doesn't break parties. We have to act as leaders and maturely and responsibly. And I want to assure you people that we have sat together as a team, as a family, and maturely and responsibly resolve all the issues that have ever existed. Today, we have one PPP. one direction, one objective, and one commitment. That is to make PPP what it was, or what it was greater of what it was. And then our all emphasis is Gambia come first. The development of Gambia come first, and that will be our program.
Thank you very much. I thank you very much. Two points. Yes.
The last one. 29 years. Fortunately, I didn't know you were going to ask that question. But I was watching one television program, and one of the ladies, that was, I think, Kirfatu, last week or week before last. And they said, PPP defu fi dara, something fi school sir. I have photocopied some of the developments that the PPP made in this country. And I brought it to distribute it. I never knew you will ask the question. But when they said that, and I know people are watching Kirfatu, nationally and internationally, I thought it's necessary for us because it's already on the websites and the Facebooks and all these things. But sometimes people have not seen it. Can you imagine when we are having independence? The law courts, when you are entering Banjul, was built by the PPP. The BCC headquarters was built by the PPP. The children wings of the hospital was built by the PPP. The maternity wing of the RVA was built by the PPP. The Makati Square was developed by the PPP. The Albert Market was built by the PPP. The headquarters of the police was built by the PPP. The clinic at Independence Drive was built by the PPP. The sewage system of Gambia, of Banjul, was built by the PPP. And I'm only talking about Banjul. When we were having independence, the 13th bridge was a one-way street. Cars coming from Banjul, the police will allow them 5, 6, stop them, allow those from Serekunda. Sadao them build the Oyster Creek Bridge. That is the one that has broken down. After that, he built the PPP. The dual carriageway, the present up to Yundum. Of course, and so many others. Where, if Sadao PPP can bring a central bank, when most African countries don't have central banks. We build NAWEC, social security, Gamtel, Port Authority. We build the stadium. All these hospitals, all is all there. I cannot say it all here, but I'll tell you what the PPP has done. No government has done it yet, because when we had independence, the tar road ended at Pelindin Kunja. It takes you 3 days to go to Basi. You go to how is it called? The village next to the bridge. Kalaji, there was a ferry. It closes at 7. We built that bridge. You go to Pakaliba, there was a ferry. We built that bridge. You go to Sami, there was a ferry. We built that bridge. We built the 13th bridge. We make sure we cut Jahali. So many Gambians died there because of height. So you can take breakfast in Serekunda, have lunch in Basse, and come back and have your dinner in Serekunda. Thanks to PPP. And the whole of the Gambia had what we call these roads that we built in rural areas. And the bus corporation, the most remote village of Gambia, was covered by the bus corporation. We had that. Hospitals. Gambia became the shining star of the World Health Organization for our primary health care. They sent people here. We had the best civil service. The World Bank has to send people here. Please, if anybody wants to speak, please. The best civil service in West Africa, was in the Gambia. Not to talk about the development projects, people don't talk about education. Can you build a university in 2 years? The present headquarters of the University, Brikama campus, was built 10 years before the coup d'etat. The School of Health was built. The School of Midwifery was built. The School of Education was built by the PPP. NARI was established by the PPP. MPI was established by the PPP. GDTI was established by the PPP. And then the PPP government, when he was Minister of Education, went into partnership with all the religious schools. And we give them, how do you call it? Grant in aid for them, for all the staffs of all the religious schools. Catholic Muslims were being paid by the PPP government. They talk about it. You go to the Observer. When Kamabaji as minister set up the team to establish the university in 1990, the then American ambassador said Gambia was not right for a university. Kamabaji responded in the Observer and said, we are now right. We have built all the components for a university. But now people talk about university. All of Njai Mune, so nani ndox ci ndal bur gëre borom ndal bi de gëremal borom teen su teen amutoon ndox lu egg ci ndal.
Somebody, but I fully understand the passion with which you speak. I fully understand the passion with which you speak. So this issue, all two issue of development as a subject and the record of the PPP for development, I think the discussion or the discourse around it should be brought to a higher level, a little higher level. Really should bring to a higher level. Actually, you will never catch me trying to enumerate a single stretch of road, bridge, hospitals that PPP government built. Because that to me, that will be monotonous. I wouldn't do that. When you talk about nation building, you look at the fundamental institutions that make a state, a nation. At the approach of Gambia's independence, many commentators, perhaps the most articulate of which was an American writer, dubbed the Gambia's independence as the birth of an improbable nation. Such were the odds that were stacked against us. That the general feeling among our commentators that we couldn't make it as a nation. That it is the building of that nation through institutions and through governance practices that makes a nation. And that's what forced and the PPP as the party of nation builders. If you want to give the PPP its full title, call it the Nation Building Party. Not only we opted for, but we helped democratic practice to take root with the separation of powers between the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. We observed it, we respected it. Not only we did that, we instituted and promoted the institution of the civil service as an independent, neutral institution. We promoted the freedom of press. We went ahead and identified the priority areas of the country's development. First, open up the country. As OJ said, as late as the eve of independence, the third road was just up to Brikama, and then the country had to be opened. It's the PPP government that opened two weather roads on both banks of the river. It developed river transport by building concrete wharfs all around. It developed the airports to open up the airspace. It brought in other economic infrastructures like banks, like the telecommunications. I wouldn't bother you with little projects that, with that kind of record behind us, and all that within an atmosphere of freedom, within an atmosphere of sound economic management, where the ordinary people's welfare is safeguarded, where even with the lowest salaries, people were able to live decent life. If you don't call that development, if you do not consider that development, if you stretch your mind to where the Gambia was in 1962, and up to the point of where it was in 1994, if you don't call that development, I don't know what to call it. So if you say, people say, in fact, I doubt if people say, I think you are saying it, or very few people are saying it. If people are saying that PDP government record of development is dismal, I would say that is the greatest expression of ignorance. It's total ignorance. The reality is completely different. As I said, we should perhaps now raise the discussion to a higher level. See, there are three constituencies that I want to address here. There are the poor young people, either not born before 1994 or too young 1994, who unfortunately have been fed on lies, unadulterated, intensive lies and propaganda since, repeating these empty things like P.P.P. did nothing, P.P.P. did nothing, without really giving even a chance to analyze. That's one constituency. The other constituency is Yahya Jammeh and his regime. Now they had interest in their own way. In their own way, they had political interest in painting the P.P.P. black. They had in their interest. That's the level of politics they did. Gutter politics. Tell lies and lies and lies. But the third constituency is in media. We hope our media practitioners, will be people with a certain level of thinking, that they will fall for such cheap propaganda, and they can see through it. Really, to get a newspaper journalist to ask me or suggest to me that the PDP's record, according to people, is this much. Where were you? What have you not been reading? I think you should know that for yourself. So that is a point that Oje was very right to emphasize. I said that if you want to bother about this, the number of roads and bridges and hospitals, that will be monotonous. You can be here until tomorrow morning. We wouldn't finish the day. The second point that I think earlier point was one of inclusiveness. Youths as opposed to others. Now again, you don't take coal to Newcastle. Nobody has a moral right to preach inclusiveness to P.P.P. Because the P.P.P. that has a fundamental value in the P.P.P. The minister made reference to it. When he, myself, James Gomez and others were given responsible positions in the party and in the government that the party runs, at the municipal level, as well as central government, we are in our early 30s. This is a party which never looked at age, whether old or young. The P.P.P's war is against exclusivity. Exclusivity is that frame of mind which says that this category of people should be excluded because they are too young, or because they are too old, because they are too tall, or because they come from Serekunda. P.P.P's war is against exclusivity. P.P.P. is for inclusivity. And today, young people in P.P.P. are entitled to expect what they have always expected and enjoyed within the P.P.P. But of course, there will be no policy of saying P.P.P. will only take young people and will exclude the old people. Because the old people are also people. Or the tall people are also people. The short people are also people. P.P.P. has not. And we have a sacred trust to maintain those values. It's very important that message goes through. Young people are most welcome. They have always been very welcome. They are in keeping with that tradition. Every possible position in the party will be within their reach. But the essential criteria are core competencies like abilities, character, and hopefully a certain vision for taking the party forward. You have to have those. And on top of it, you can add your age or your youth or your being Serekunda man or your being Base man. But the three core competencies are abilities, character, and a vision. Those are important, and I hope and believe that the Congress, when it sits, will be looking at this in who they select, and not considerations of where they were born, or whether they were old, whether they were young, or whether they were... That's not important at all. You don't take coal to Newcastle. You don't preach inclusivity to P.P.P. Its record is there. It speaks for itself. Thank you very much.
I need to also... People at the back. Okay. Who? Yes. Okay, you did one, so can you give somebody else a chance? Okay, I'll start with the guy at the back. Side view. Okay, 3 more then. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll start with you and then you.
I am Suleiman Iwan from the Voice newspaper. My question goes to Honorable Oje Jallo. Over the weekend, APRC party held a congress in Buyam, and then the interim leader of the APRC party, that's Honorable Jata, stated that the democracy of the Gambia is questionable at this point in time, owing to certain activities that are not considered in a democratic state, the assaults of journalists and improper accountability of certain foundations like the Fatu Barbaro Foundation. He also highlighted about neglecting crimes in the country. And Honorable Jallo, as a renowned politician in this country, what is your take on that, on his statement? The second question is APRC call for the return of former President Yahya Jammeh and the return of the APRC vehicles, the opening of the APRC bureau, among other things that they demanded there. And as a politician also, what is your reaction on that?
Thank you very much. I think I made an interview some time ago in response to Yankuba Koli, and I said, if I were an APRC, I should thank God and keep quiet. Because if they talk about press freedom, in the last 18 months, how many journalists have been killed in this country? How many journalists have been imprisoned or tortured in this country? How many journalists have run away to be refugees in other countries? During Jammeh's time, that was the norm on the APRC. When it comes to freedom, why should I be arrested for 22 occasions because I have gone to a newspaper and held an interview because I have a diverse opinion with what Jammeh stood for? How many people have so far been arrested and detained for questioning some of the things that Adama Barrow is doing? Deda Harare was shot. Nobody. Independence newspaper was bombed and shot. Radio 1 was bombed. Ibrahim Asila, his house was bombed. He's fortunate to be alive today. They closed. And so many newspapers. How can you want to compare? Now, Yahya Jammeh's era and now. During Yahya Jammeh's era, AFPRC, I think only Gambians who have lost their memories can go and support APRC. Because, as we said, Gambians are forgiving people. But let them not push people to the wall. For me, I have said I've forgiven after being in prison for 22 times. After losing my left eye through torture in the army camp. And all my friends, Hussein Unjai, MC Cham, so many others, were kept in detention for 14 months, and they didn't allow any member of our family to see us. And they make us sleep on the ground, on the ground. And for 31 days, they didn't allow any of us to wash our face, take a bath, or change our clothes. And so many other things they have done in this country. For Bakari Tombon Diatta to stand there, when they shot the 14 students in this country, armless students, why were they? When Tisajo Kujabi One of my best friends in Buyam, they went and picked him from his farm and said he's wanted by the president. Took him to his house, washed, changed clothes. They went and picked up his friend, Nogomu, and Mola Nyasi, put them in the car in 2006. Up to today, nobody have seen them. Daba Marina, they said they are going to move them from Number Mile to prison to Janjambure. How can you move high security prisoners without guards? They say the vehicle has got an accident. Where? Where is the driver? Why is the guards that were with them? They murdered them. I can go on and on. When it comes to corruption, really, it's a shame sometimes for Gambians to talk about the Ajame when it comes to corruption. We have seen Kanila. How many compounds? The Ajame has about 13 properties in Banjul alone that he has bought. Where did he get the money? How was it possible for Ajame to give $4 million to a Rasula, Senegalese Rasula, and $4 million to the wife of the Rasula, and a new car? How was it possible for Ajame to buy 12 new vehicles and give it as a present to the president of Guinea-Bissau? When children are dying of strong hunger, there are no medicines in the hospitals, there are no equipment in the schools, and still they talk about corruption. Sometimes they said he wants to come back, seize their properties, demands property. 10 years vice president, he doesn't want me to say it. He had a property behind Jaidu. He sold it. Minister, vice president, to build his house in Cape Point. They seized the house. I built my house where I'm staying when I was in the commercial bank. They gave me the loan. I rented it for 8 years to pay the loan. That's why I'm staying. 17 years as a member of parliament. 15 years as a minister. I had only one property. They seized it. The Ajame so far has 193 properties in Gambia. He has seized our office in Lima State. It's owned by the P.P.P. and make it in the immigration department. Seized our property, P.P.P. property in Brikam, our bureau, and make it the July 22nd movement headquarters. Seized our garage in Tabaco Road and built the IEC office there. Seized 6 properties, 6 vehicles of the P.P.P. Destroyed them, used them, gave it to his party. You telling me about seizing your property? Come on, man. What goes around comes around. Thank you. No, I tell you, how many presidents in Africa have run away and left their countries? Not many. But everybody has to take responsibility of your actions. Everybody has to take responsibility of your actions. Nobody has asked him not to come back. Let him come back. Why did he choose Equatorial Guinea? Because the families of those he has executed want justice. And some of them has gone to the ICC. Some of them has gone to the ECOWAS court. P.P.P. we have nothing to do with that. That is his problem with the families of the people he has executed, of the family of the people he has tortured, of the family of the people he has suppressed and oppressed. That is his problem. Let him solve that problem with them. For us, this government is here. It's free. You can come through the airport. If he wants to come, let him come. That is his business.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll ask the next question. But please, again to remind that we are really here to talk more about the P.P.P. forthcoming P.P.P. Congress. What our friends did in Buyam after having a good meal there, fine, it's up to them. Okay, so I'll ask you if possible to restrict because time is really running out.
Thank you, everybody. I am Tabora Bojang from The Standard. My question will be more specifically going to Honorable OJ, because you made, last time some 1 month ago, you made mention of post-2019, if President Barrow did not respect the 3-year transition, then PPP is going out of the coalition, and you still count yourself as part of being in the coalition 2016. So now, my question will be, because most of your coalition partners are busy some way or the other trying to stand for the 2021 presidential election. So now, are you being clear of downplaying your presidential ambitions categorically from what I understand from your comments? Is it that you are categorically downplaying any presidential ambition with either you or it also goes to Mr. Dabo? Did any of you have any presidential ambitions come 2021, being a familiar faces in Gambian politics?
You guys, no, what I'm saying is, we as responsible, matured leaders sat down and had an agreement that we are going into a coalition, and the coalition will form a transitional government if we win. And that transitional government will be only for 3 years. And then we'll go back to elections, and he will serve, he will hand over to the person who won that election. Fortunately, in all our telephones, all statements are there. Even the interview he made in Dakar, when they asked him in Wolof, wow, lady, Mr. President, don't talk about Jerome Nyeti Adi, Munano Man Korla. Nyeti Adlai talk, Sujehe, Mahando, Wamadelu, Suma businessman la. When we went to register him at the IEC, he's invited. He said, I am an independent candidate supported by 7 political parties and an independent. And we have agreed for me to contest as an independent candidate, and if I win, to serve 3 years. What I'm saying is, even if we have a problem, let us sit again as mature leaders and discuss the issue if there is any legal or otherwise issues. But one person cannot just come out who was not part of the discussion and say it's 5 years or I will take the president to court. For me, I am not in politics anymore for position. I'm in politics to make sure my daughters, my sons, my children, my nephews, all of you enjoy a better Gambia than what I enjoyed. Because I enjoyed a better Gambia than my father. I was born in a mud house in Old Europe and brought up in a printing house in Serekunda. But I'm living in a 2-story building thanks to my dad and my mom. That is why I think your second point, I'm sure my daughter sitting here will never forgive me if I want to contest for elections anymore in my life. Because I don't see the reason. What I want is P.P.P. to come back in power. P.P.P. to be the party it was, or a better party as it was in the First Republic. And we all will be part of the team. It's collective responsibility. Today, if Manchester United is playing my team, you hardly see a captain that scores a goal. But when they win, they don't say this goal scorer is the hero of the team. They said Manchester United has won. That's what the chairperson says. Let us work as a team. Collective responsibility. It doesn't matter who leads. What is important is let us believe in ourselves and the party and make sure the party's constitution, the party's objectives, and our beliefs in what we want to do is strong in us and we pursue it relentlessly. That is the point. And I think this is where I stand. When it comes to elections, I say no way, no more. I have no ambition not to be president, not to be secretary, not to be propaganda secretary, not to be MP, not to be councillor. That is finished. I said, if I die, God has powers. If he forced me to contest his elections, I will, but not here.
Thank you very much. I think these are also two very important issues, and I would just like to add a word or two. The first one is the coalition arrangement, which brought about the present government, and also saw the exit of the dictatorship. The P.P.P. was a party to the negotiations. We were represented by Omar Jallo and others, and the agreement reached by them and the other parties has since been formally endorsed by the P.P.P. So the P.P.P. stand is clear, and I'm happy as a member of the P.P.P. that that is the stand the party has taken, which is that agreements, even if you call them political agreements, are sacred and they have to be taken seriously. They have to be taken seriously. It has been the foundation for the coalition agreement that came about, so that for now we will assume in the P.P.P. that all parties will stick to that. If down the line somebody has some suggestion for wanting to vary, we'll be happy to listen to that argument and see. I think that's the point about the P.P.P. and the coalition position. The other issue is the what they call it, presidential ambitions. Look, I want to make this clear, and I think an earlier question also raised the point. You see, we cross bridges when we get there. The bridge we have come to is to rebuilding the party. That's what we are talking about. Building the party, getting a leadership for the party is a department completely different from flag bearer for elections. Elections are far away. In politics, Harold Wilson said even 1 week is a long time. Who knows what will happen in 3-4 years' time? So really, we are not talking about flag bearers or presidential ambitions. In fact, presidential ambition is quite legitimate for everybody in politics. If you take into politics as a career, it's quite legitimate. There's no harm with it. But now is not the time to play it about, because time hasn't come. The bridge is far away. You'll break your back if you want to cross a bridge which you haven't got to. So for now, we are concerned about rebuilding the P.P.P. and getting it going. Thank you very much.
Okay. I think that was the last question.
Thank you very much.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, the High Table. I am Hatabnyam from Forea newspaper. My question is, I have only one question. We all know that we are from a military dictatorship for 22 years plus. And during this military dictatorship, many people were complaining and yearning for a true democracy. And through this, P.P.P. and other opposition parties came together to form a coalition. And through this coalition, they kicked Yahya Jammeh out through votes. At the moment, it seems like many Gambians that voted for the coalition are disappointed the way the country is moving. What is P.P.P's take on this?
Final question, huh? Well, you know, we are a country and we people have different views and different opinions. That is why it's important, if you are listening to my statements every time for the last 20 years, one of the main things that make Africa to be backward is to make leaders gods. We have a government, it's a people's government. We have a program. We have a program that we accepted. And of course, the coalition had their manifesto. If that manifesto is not being correct, there is an election. We can show the leadership that we are not happy with you, we vote them out. That should be what will come. But Our problem is Africa is, even if a president or a leader is doing something wrong, we clap for him or her. We dance for him or her. That's why Yahya Jammeh was here for 22 years. Doing worse things than Adama Barrow. And people are clapping for him, and people are voting for his members of parliament. And he had ministers. That's all I always tell people. Then when they tell me, why should you forgive Yahya Jammeh? I said, how many ministers resigned when he shot 14 children? How many members of parliament resigned when he took a bill to parliament to indemnify those who shot those children? They move it. Are they not as responsible as Jammeh for such? That is why I'm telling you, whilst this government is working, any government is not headed by perfect human beings. I will accept, I agree with you that there's a lot of things going on which we are not happy about. We should try to consult and see how best we can bring back that familyship, that relationship in the coalition to the end of 2019. Because I've said it, I'm part of the coalition for the 3 years. And all of us within the coalition have a responsibility to see whether what we agreed, our policies, the program that we agreed for reforms is being done. If not, after the 3 years, we should sit together again as a coalition and decide what to do. And I think that is our responsibility. And nobody should be blamed. If anything happens, the coalition should be blamed and nobody else.
Thank you very much. And that being the last question we will be taking this afternoon, I wanted to thank you, but before I do so, thank my colleagues who helped me in fielding questions. A number of very important issues have been touched on, and I hope not only the journalists but everybody here will be able to take home some of the points we clarified, some of the cardinal points we clarified. Apart from the point of information that we will have a Congress, and the Congress will be on the field.
Il faut travail, beaucoup travail, toujours travail, li baax ci réew mi. Ay lii lu mu doon fi ñàpp sonn seen nguur gu bon a tax réew mi xiiboon du li ngeen dige woon du li ngeen fi waxoon ay ana suñu koom-koom lii lu mu doon ñun dañoo sonn seen nguur gu bon a tax réew mi xiiboon du li ngeen dige woon du li ngeen fi waxoon ay ana suñu koom-koom.
dëkk baa ngi tooy ba inondé ci lim lëndëm ak wóora di askan wi di jooy ndax jaaxle ñàkk dërëm ak wéra di nga dëkke tukki dem ak dikk doo toog ni ko tëra di sa nguur a bëri sikk ak i jëwrin yu xamadi yaay fal di folli di teggi di bumi weer bu nekk remaniement bu bees ni yëre bu ñuy summi yaay wax di weddi di jël di bàyyi te kenn du ne du nii ku lay jéem a weddi takk der yi jàpp landu lii xanaa gi soo ne ñi la wër ñoo gën a foqale bukki dañoo xiif ba bu ñuy lekk ginaar sax duñ ko suqi mais nag doo yàlla ndax munoo fekke bëccëg fekke guddi njiit bu bon ni bëñ bu yàqu li ciy pexe mooy buddi mooy tul ñu mujj ak yow ni waa Tunisie mujj ak Ben Ali wàcc si tali bi génne la palais bi nga daal di lali la foule folle personne ne peut arrêter sa folie su fekkee ne fenn moo la fal xamal ne dëgg lay folli
lii lu mu doon fi ñàpp sonn seen nguur gu bon a tax réew mi xiiboon du li ngeen dige woon du li ngeen fi waxoon ay ana suñu koom-koom lii lu mu doon ñun dañoo sonn seen nguur gu bon a tax réew mi xiiboon du li ngeen dige woon du li ngeen fi waxoon ay ana suñu koom-koom.
léegi ñëpp xam ne politique bi ay naxaate la luñ la waxati suba ba ngoon jàppal ne ay kàcc la si say neuf ñëpp yam bu ñu faloo rek fàtte la ni oto bu paan boo ko poussé bu tàkkee wàcc la ku ci fallu soppi doxalin foog ne yegg na fàtte fi mu jógee ak li mu diggee ndax léegi tedd na rey kollu ni bul fokkin di wane ne regg na topp tootul sax na xol waskan mi sedd na sëriñ si moom mel na ne yëgul ne dëkk bi metti na fayul ndox fayul courant ñàkkul dépense te matle na nguur gi gi di ko féexal mu daal di gëmm ni gumba dootu ñu nangu mu ñuy fooxal ñu ne cell ni muuma li muy digle du sharia du farata du sunna diine jële mbubboo ak di xëccoo alalu àdduna meeting la gën a farataal waraate àjjuma nañ waxante dëgg bàyyi masla moo ñuy génne ci musiba
lii lu mu doon fii ñàpp sonn seen nguur gu bon a tax réew mi xiiboon du li ngeen dige woon du li ngeen fi waxoon ay 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 ana suñu koom-koom lii lu mu doon ñun dañoo sonn seen nguur gu bon a tax réew mi xiiboon du li ngeen dige woon du li ngeen fi waxoon ay 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 ana suñu koom-koom ku ci manti falu rek soppaliku du fàttaliku li tax mu falu ku ci manti bakku rek nga daal di nangu foog ni waaje fi gën ey kii la wala kee la ana tiitaane sa morom kun ci walu ba di ko seentu mu jël beneen yoon kii la wala kee la ana tiitaane sa morom kun ci walu ba di ko seentu mu jël beneen yoon buñ ko fogewul woon lii lu mu doon fii ñàpp sonn seen nguur gu bon a tax réew mi xiiboon du li ngeen dige woon du li ngeen fi waxoon ay 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 ana suñu koom-koom lii lu mu doon ñun dañoo sonn seen nguur gu bon a tax réew mi xiiboon du li ngeen dige woon du li ngeen fi waxoon ay 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 ana suñu koom-koom
Fear over electoral rigging rocks Zimbabwe. The country.
Yesterday, after listening to Prime Minister May's assessment of the state of the negotiations,
Why it is our diocesan patron feast day is because the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Assumption is dedicated.
Do not have it in their mindset or in their psyche that we are playing against Algeria.